Hey guys, this is Scott with Stout Sportsmen. We have something a little different for you today. If you like these videos, let us know in the comments and give us some different topic ideas that we can do in the future. Stay tuned. Okay guys, let's get into the video. So topic today is taking kids fishing. Tips for a better experience. I am a father. I have a 6-year-old at this moment, and I like taking them fishing. Big problem is kids are definitely definitely have different attention spans, and some kids don't like it, some do. They take better, the kids that like fishing, take better to it, and so you just have to be mindful of things. So let's get into it. These are the topics I'm going to cover: equipment, location, attitude, species, and general rules, stuff you should know but just in case. Equipment, what you should bring and what you should not bring. First of all, I highly suggest getting a spinning rod. You can find them as cheap as like $10, and this is what I bought for my son who's 6. No to the Barbie rod, no to any of the other little kid fishing rods. You can get a small spinning rod for cheap, and you don't have to worry about spending too much and ruining it or losing it. The Barbie rods I think are 10 to $20 themselves, but they're just not good to use. They're not built right. They have this closed reel that's built right into it, and it's just not good to start them off with. The buttons are not good as far as trying to cast. Just get a cheap spinning rod, and you'd be better off in the long run. So other things you should bring are how you rig it. I recommend using a drop shot rig. When you can keep the bait off the bottom, you have less snags. It's a lot easier to feel bites, and it's a lot easier to set the hook on fish. When I was a kid, we always used like the inline setup where you have your weight attached to the line before you get to the hook, and to me that creates more snags, and you can't feel the hits as well when you have that weight in between. This last week I took my son fishing, and we used the drop shot rig, and he was able to feel the bites more, and it's a lot more enjoyable when you can you have a little bit better hookup rate, which I solely believe that using drop shot you have a better hookup rate. You hook them better too. A lot of the times when you have that weight in between, it gives you don't have the feel, and you end up the fish end up kind of swallowing the hook more. Where a drop shot rig, you're more than likely going to hook them in the upper lip or the side. You get a good hook set on them. Alright, location, where, when, and weather. Choose a nice day. Don't go when it's going to be over 90 degrees and sunny all day, and where you're just going to basically roast. It's just not a good, when it's hot out, people, their attitudes toward things are just not as good. And on the flip side, don't take your kids ice fishing. I know as a kid I would never want to go sit on ice and fish in a little hole. so stay away from the extreme temperatures. Pick a nice day, like a little overcast, not too hot, where the weather's not affecting your attitude towards fishing. You want to pick safe and easy places to fish. Ponds are awesome. To take your kid out for the first few times, taking them to a pond is a great idea. You don't have to worry about them on the boat. I take my son on the boat now. He's gotten familiar with boats. He's on the last few years. So I don't worry too much about him on the boat. But I do not take him to large lakes. I would not take my son to Lake Erie. Just the way those large lakes can change in a few minutes is just never good. Those big waves, and especially if your kids are can get motion sickness and all that kind of stuff. So I'd stay to smaller lakes on nice days, or if you can get to ponds, that's great. The best time to go, not too early and not too late. Stay, the times you want to go are kind of that midday, and the species you want to target are probably going to be that midday species, where you're not gonna get up super early or stay out late like when you're walleye fishing, because walleye fishing is probably not the best time to teach your kids how to fish. But we'll talk about that more during species. Inclement weather, just avoid it completely. If it's heavy winds and raining, probably not a good time to introduce kids to fishing. Stick to those days where you're where the weather's going to be more in your favor. Attitude, how we should act. This is a big thing that I've seen, and it can really affect how a kid adapts to fishing. Like what attitude you show towards them. If you want them to enjoy fishing, you need to stay positive yourself. Kids pick up on when you're mad, and they can have that lasting thought of being mad and relate that to fishing, and we don't want that. And always stay positive and encouraging to the child. You want to act as that cheerleader for them. More attitude. Don't push it. Don't force it. If they don't want to fish, don't do that to them. Don't make them do that. If they don't want to fish, go ahead and fish yourself. And that's plenty of that can be a game changer right there. I know my son, he has 10-15 minutes in him to fish, and he kind of lets me know when he's ready not to take a break and not fish. And a lot of the times during those times when he takes a break, I'll go catch some fish, and all of a sudden he sees me catching fish, and he wants to fish a little bit more. So it's kind of strategic. Just don't push them into doing something they don't want to do. Every kid has their limit, and it's going to be different for every, depending on the age of the child and just how they act. Another thing is to plan ahead. If they don't want to fish for a while, it's good to give them something that they can do. My son, he really loves some snacks, and I take some games and stuff for him to play with too. Species, what we should target. When I'm fishing with my son, I'm fishing mainly for panfish and bass. And I only say bass because a lot of ponds have bass in them, and if you can get your kids on ponds, that's the best, because you're keeping them on land. They're easier to control as far as you're not worrying about them falling in as much, and they're not on the boat. But aim for these smaller fish that you have more success with. the bigger game fish are definitely, that's not a way to introduce your kid to fishing. Pike fishing, muskie, walleye, trout, salmon, they're awesome fish when you can catch them, but it's you're not always on a great bite. I mean, if they are really biting great, I mean that could be awesome. If you can get if you can get your kid on fishing walleye and they're biting unbelievably, that's cool, but chances are they're not going to be as hot as if you just went and fished for perch and sunfish. It's just keep them on smaller fish so they can learn how to fish before you start getting them into the more trophy big game fish. Okay, general rules. I think everybody should know these, but life jacket always on the boat, and around certain ponds, maybe depending on the kid, you might want to put a life jacket on them also. I know as when I'm out with just by myself with my son, I also wear a life jacket. I also wear a life jacket when I'm fishing by myself, just in case something happens. I have my life jacket on, and you just want to be safe. A big rule for me is when the kid or kids are fishing, you are not. For me, when my son's fishing, I don't even pick up a rod. I don't have a rod in the water. I focus my attention towards him. Especially when I'm on the boat, I'm also running the boat. I'm watching the depth finder. I'm running the trolling motor. So for me to fish, it's and I've tried this before, and it doesn't work out. So I don't fish myself when my son's fishing. I know he's only going to be doing it for 20 minutes at the most at this point. So I put down the rod and reel, give him my attention, and it works out for the best. When he decides that he doesn't want to fish, I can fish, and I get my fishing in also. I wouldn't suggest more than 2 kids per adult. A lot of the times it's tough with just 1 kid per adult. So the big thing is to give them your attention, and if you get too many kids at once, it could be pretty overwhelming. Understand when they're done. I think we've touched on this enough, but every kid has their limit. Just respect that. Pack snacks and drinks. I know I pack a lot more snacks and drinks when I take my son than when I'm fishing by myself or with someone else. I know he gets thirsty, depending on the temperature outside. I don't need to drink and eat as much, but I know it helps him out. Enjoy your time with them. Big thing with spend your time with them, not trying to fish yourself. Give them your attention. The smile is the greatest when your kid is catching fish, and you're doing it with them. And you just gotta remember, this is the future of our sport. Teach them etiquette and the rules of fishing. There's a lot of guys that lack etiquette, how to run a boat, and different fishing and following the rules. And if we could start them at a young age, it'll definitely help the sport. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit like. Definitely subscribe if you're not a subscriber already. And this is a little different video, so if you comment and let us know if you like this type of video. If you really like it, let us know what other topics that we could touch on. Thanks for watching. This is Scott from Stout Sportsmen. Have a good day.